What if the most powerful spiritual tool you possess has been quietly dormant, hidden deep within your own brain? What if ancient mystics, secret societies, and forgotten civilizations all spoke in cryptic terms about a gateway, not to the heavens above, but to the infinite within? And what if science, in its mechanistic approach, has all but ignored the single organ most closely linked to your soul? Buried between the two hemispheres of your brain lies a tiny, pine cone-shaped gland, no bigger than a grain of rice. Yet its influence is immense. The ancient Egyptians honored it in the Eye of Horus. The Hindus depicted it as the seat of the third eye, the Ajna chakra. The Vatican even features a massive statue of a pine cone in the Court of the Pine Cone, one of the largest pineal symbols in the world. Coincidence or code? This is the pineal gland, called by mystics the seat of the soul, and by philosophers the portal to the divine. Modern science may know it as the gland responsible for producing melatonin, regulating sleep, and managing circadian rhythms, but to the ancients, it was far more. A sacred organ capable of perceiving dimensions beyond this physical world. A gateway to spiritual insight, higher consciousness, and even out-of-body experience. But here's the mystery. If the pineal gland holds such transformative potential, why has it been forgotten? Why are most people never taught to activate it, cleanse it, or even protect it? In this video, we'll journey into the secret history of the pineal gland, its role in ancient civilizations, its suppression in modern times, and the real reason it matters in the quest for enlightenment. You'll learn what spiritual traditions have long claimed about its powers and what modern neuroscience is only beginning to uncover. More importantly, we'll explore practical methods, rituals, meditations, and energetic techniques that can help you awaken this sleeping eye and reclaim a birthright of perception long veiled by modern life. This is not just a biological curiosity. It's a forgotten power, a hidden doorway, and perhaps the key to remembering who you truly are. To understand the pineal gland's forgotten powers, we must first turn our gaze backward, into the shadows of ancient temples, beneath the metaphors of sacred texts, and through the symbols etched into stone across civilizations. The pineal gland is not a new discovery. It is, in truth, an ancient remembrance. In ancient Egypt, the symbolism of the pineal gland was encoded within one of their most sacred images, the Eye of Horus. When the eye is anatomically compared to a cross-section of the human brain, it aligns with startling precision to the structures surrounding the pineal gland. To the Egyptians, this eye was not simply an emblem of protection, it was the all-seeing eye, a reference to inner sight, to awakened perception beyond the material. The Hindu tradition refers to this organ as the Ajna chakra, the third eye, said to govern intuition, insight, and divine knowing. Positioned between the brows, this subtle energy center corresponds closely with the pineal gland's location. In yogic practice, the awakening of this chakra through meditation and breath work is said to bring about samadhi, a transcendent state of unity with the universe. Meanwhile, in the philosophy of René Descartes, one of the foundational figures of Western thought, the pineal gland is referred to as the seat of the soul. Though many dismissed his metaphysical assertions as speculative, Descartes was convinced that this small gland was the bridge between the material body and the immaterial mind. He believed it was the meeting place of thought and spirit, a proposition far more in line with mystical traditions than mechanistic science. Even the Catholic Church, seemingly divorced from esotericism, holds secrets in plain sight. The massive bronze pine cone statue, known as the Pina, resides in the Vatican's court of the Pine Cone. This curious monument, surrounded by peacocks, symbols of immortality, seems oddly out of place unless one considers it a subtle homage to the pineal gland. Why else would such a symbol be enshrined in the heart of Christendom? Across Mesoamerican, Sumerian, and Babylonian cultures, similar pine cone imagery appears in the hands of gods and kings, symbols of divine access, fertility of mind, or transcendent knowledge. Again and again, the pine cone, mimicking the shape of the pineal gland, appears where mystical wisdom is preserved. So why did this symbol, and the organ it represented, fade from public awareness? The answer is multifaceted. As science rose to prominence during the Enlightenment, spiritual anatomy gave way to material biology. The pineal gland was studied not as a portal, but as a gland. Its spiritual role was dismissed, its mystery reduced to its function in sleep regulation. Western medicine turned away from the metaphysical in favor of the observable. That which could not be seen or measured was considered myth. But some suspect a more intentional forgetting. It is no secret that fluoride, a chemical commonly found in drinking water and dental products, accumulates in the pineal gland, causing calcification, reducing its function, and potentially dulling our spiritual perception. Is it accidental that the one organ tied to higher consciousness is so vulnerable to industrial toxins? Or is it part of a larger forgetting, one that ensures human beings remain locked in material awareness? Whether by design or by neglect, the spiritual potential of the pineal gland has largely been erased from collective memory. But the symbols remain, the teachings remain, and for those who seek to remember, the path still exists. What was once common knowledge among initiates of ancient temples has now become occult, that is, hidden, but not lost. In the next section, we'll explore what the pineal gland actually is, how it works both physically and metaphysically, and why activating it may be the most important step on your spiritual path. So, what exactly is the pineal gland, and why has it been so revered across spiritual traditions? Biologically speaking, the pineal gland is a small, pea-sized structure nestled deep within the center of the brain, between the two hemispheres, near a region called the epithalamus. It is part of the endocrine system, and its most well-documented function in modern science is the production of melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep cycles and circadian rhythms. But that's merely its outer shell. As with all great esoteric truths, the deeper reality lies just beneath the surface. Let us consider a metaphor. Imagine your body as a temple. The heart is its sanctuary, the breath its rhythm. But the pineal gland, that is the altar in the inner sanctum, a crystalline transmitter waiting in stillness to receive the divine. Why crystalline? Because, strangely, the pineal gland contains piezoelectric crystals, meaning it can convert mechanical energy into electrical energy, and vice versa. This is not metaphor, but measurable biology. These microcrystals, primarily composed of calcite, are structured in a way similar to quartz, which is used in radios, clocks, and even computers to transmit and store information. Some researchers believe this may make the pineal gland a kind of biological antenna, able to receive frequencies from outside the physical realm. A transducer, not just between body and brain, but between matter and spirit. In many mystical systems, the pineal gland is seen as the interface between physical reality and higher dimensions of consciousness. Just as the eyes see light and the ears hear sound, the pineal gland is thought to perceive vibration, subtle frequencies that do not register in our usual five senses. This is why it's associated with the third eye, not because it sees with the eyes, but because it sees beyond them. When this gland is awakened through spiritual discipline, meditation, breathwork, or certain psychedelic substances, individuals often report vivid visions, intense intuitive insight, feelings of universal connectedness, and even out-of-body experiences.
Many believe this gland is what allows the consciousness to leave the body during dreams, astral travel, or near-death experiences. In fact, the pineal gland is one of the first structures to appear in a developing embryo and one of the last to degenerate in old age. It holds a unique place in the architecture of life, emerging early, guiding our rhythms, and possibly housing the very spark of consciousness itself. But here's a curious paradox. While the pineal gland sits in darkness, deep within the skull, it is covered with photoreceptor cells, similar to those in the retina. It responds to light. In reptiles and birds, this gland is directly linked to a structure known as the parietal eye, a literal third eye on the top of the head. In humans, this eye has closed, but the light it seeks is not physical. It is the inner light. The light mystics have spoken of for centuries, the light of gnosis, revelation, and divine knowledge. When activated, the pineal gland is said to secrete a mysterious fluid referred to in alchemical lore as the elixir of life, or the sacred nectar. In yogic traditions, this may be what is called amrita, the immortalizing essence that flows from the crown of the head during deep spiritual absorption. This mystical fluid is not necessarily physical. It may be energetic, but its effects are profound. Heightened awareness, emotional clarity, spiritual ecstasy. And here is the secret. The ancients knew. This awakening is not random. It is not bestowed only upon the chosen. It can be cultivated through discipline, purification, intention, and breath. In part 2 of the core explanation, we will delve deeper into the forces that block or dull this gland, into the modern habits that blind the third eye, and into the subtler realms of pineal activation, such as sound, frequency, and inner geometry. You will begin to understand that this is not simply a gland. It is a forgotten gateway, and you were born with the key.
If the pineal gland is a gateway to higher consciousness, what keeps it closed? This question leads us to a darker side of the story, a subtle war on perception, fought not with weapons, but with distractions, chemicals, and the slow erosion of inner stillness. Let's begin with the most literal form of suppression, calcification. Over time, the pineal gland becomes encrusted with calcium deposits, turning its once fluid crystalline core into something more like bone. While aging naturally contributes to this, studies show that fluoride, commonly added to drinking water and toothpaste, accelerates this process. In fact, the pineal gland accumulates more fluoride than any other part of the body, even bones. Think about that. The one organ capable of sensing beyond the five senses, the most spiritually significant gland in the body, is also the one most vulnerable to industrial byproducts. Coincidence or conditioning? But calcification is only part of the picture. Modern life has woven a tapestry of pineal suppression through overstimulation, poor diet, chronic stress, artificial lighting, and electromagnetic interference. The pineal gland thrives in darkness and stillness. Yet we live under harsh fluorescent lights, scrolling endlessly, bombarded by media and microwaves, rarely disconnecting from the sensory overload long enough to hear the whisper of the soul. To the ancient mind, the pineal gland was a sacred temple, but today it is a neglected ruin, buried under layers of noise. And still, even in this dimmed state, it retains power. Let's explore another dimension of the pineal gland, frequency. Just as a tuning fork resonates with specific notes, your pineal gland is sensitive to vibrational inputs, especially sound. Certain frequencies, such as 432 Hz, 528 Hz, and 963 Hz, have long been associated with spiritual awakening, healing, and cosmic connection. When listened to regularly, these tones may help reawaken dormant aspects of the gland, gently retuning it to its natural resonance. Likewise, binaural beats, an audio technology using two slightly different frequencies in each ear, can create an illusory third frequency in the brain.
When set to the right parameters, binaural beats have been shown to induce deep meditative states, balance hemispheric activity, and stimulate the pineal gland. This isn't mysticism without merit. Modern neuroimaging supports the idea that altered states of consciousness correlate with increased blood flow and activity in the pineal region. But let's go deeper still. Ancient mystics often spoke of inner geometry, specific mental patterns, mandalas, or visualizations that align the mind with higher truths. Many who have experienced pineal activation report seeing sacred geometry, spirals, fractals, radiant patterns beyond language. It is as if the pineal gland does not merely process thought, it translates higher-order structures into vision. In Hinduism, the concept of the bindu, a single point in consciousness from which all perception arises, resides in the area of the third eye. In Christian mysticism, the single eye mentioned by Christ, "If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light," is often interpreted as a reference to this same center of perception. Even the DMT molecule, sometimes called the spirit molecule, brings us full circle. Endogenously produced in small amounts in the human body, and potentially in the pineal gland, this chemical has been linked to profound visionary and spiritual experiences. Users of DMT often report entering otherworldly realms, meeting intelligences, and dissolving the ego entirely. Whether you accept it as neurochemical or metaphysical, the experience radically alters perception of reality. Could it be that the pineal gland is not only the seat of the soul, but also the instrument of divine communication? It receives light not just from the sun, but from higher realms. It hears tones not only from the ear, but from cosmic resonance. It perceives vision, not just with eyes, but with understanding. And just like a muscle, it must be used, or it will atrophy. In the next section, we will move from theory to practice. You'll learn simple but powerful techniques to begin cleansing, activating, and awakening the pineal gland. No chemicals, no mysticism required. Only discipline and the desire to see. So far, we've uncovered the mystical history and profound potential of the pineal gland. But knowledge alone is not enough. A door may be hidden and even unlocked, but it is you who must choose to walk through it. The process of awakening the pineal gland is not instantaneous. It is not triggered by a single ritual or revelation. Rather, it is the slow unveiling of perception, like clouds parting to reveal a hidden sun. Let's begin with the foundation. Cleansing. 1. Decalcification and detox. To awaken the pineal gland, the first step is to clear away what has dulled it. Eliminate fluoride. Avoid fluoride-laden water and toothpaste. Use fluoride filters or seek out spring water if possible. Look for natural dental products. Purify your diet. Reduce refined sugars, artificial additives, and processed foods. Eat more raw, living foods, greens, fruits, sprouted seeds, which nourish the brain and energize the gland. Detox support. Natural substances like chlorella, spirulina, turmeric, and boron have been linked to supporting pineal health and detoxification. Cilantro is also known to bind to heavy metals. This isn't just about biology. It's about signaling to your body and soul, I am preparing the temple. 2. Darkness and stillness. The pineal gland is activated by darkness. It is in the absence of outer light that the inner light begins to rise. Sleep in complete darkness. Remove sources of artificial light from your bedroom. Even tiny LEDs can disrupt melatonin production. Practice silence. Set aside time each day for inner stillness. No stimulation, just you and your breath. Observe the night sky. Spend time under starlight or moonlight. Ancient initiates often used the night as sacred time for inner work. 3. Meditation and breathwork. Now we awaken the currents. Third eye focus. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and gently place your awareness on the space between your eyebrows. Don't strain, just watch that space in stillness. Over time, you may feel subtle pressure or warmth. That's a sign of activation. 4-7-8 breath. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. This pattern calms the nervous system and increases oxygen to the brain, which supports pineal function. Kumbhaka, breath retention. In advanced pranayama, holding the breath at the top of the inhale focuses subtle energy in the third eye area. Start with short holds, never strain, and combine with mental focus on the brow center. 4. Sound and frequency. Certain sounds can tune the pineal gland, like a crystal bowl resonating with its perfect note. Binaural beats. Listen to tracks in the 963 range, often referred to as the frequency of the divine. Use headphones, sit in stillness, and allow the sound to entrain your brain. Chanting Om. The ancient mantra Om, or Om, creates vibration in the skull, particularly near the pineal gland. Chant it slowly, allowing the M to resonate in your head. Feel the vibration echo between your temples. 5. Sun gazing, safely and sparingly. This practice must be approached with great caution. In the first hour of sunrise or last hour of sunset, gaze gently at the sun for a few seconds to a minute, gradually increasing over days. This is believed by some traditions to feed the pineal gland with subtle solar energy. Never attempt this during the full intensity of daylight, and always listen to your body. If discomfort arises, stop. 6. Sacred visualization. As you meditate, visualize a violet or indigo light pulsing gently in the center of your forehead. See it spinning, expanding, and illuminating your mind. In time, this visualization becomes an invitation, a message to the gland itself. Awaken. These practices, as simple as they may seem, open powerful doors, but do not expect fireworks on the first day. The pineal gland responds not to force, but to devotion. Approach it with reverence, patience, and purity of intent. It is a flower that blooms in silence, a beacon that lights only when you have grown still enough to see. And when it begins to open, something remarkable happens. You don't just perceive more of the world, you begin to remember more of who you are.
You were never meant to be blind. Not truly. Beneath your waking vision lies another kind of sight, a sacred internal seeing that the ancients knew intimately, and that modern life has tried desperately to bury. The pineal gland is not a myth, it is not poetic metaphor, it is real, it is physical, and it is spiritual. A crystalline eye folded in the center of your brain, waiting. It has watched silently as you've chased answers outside yourself, while it patiently held the key within. It has endured toxins, distractions, noise, yet still it pulses, faintly, quietly, like a forgotten signal from beyond the veil. Today you've remembered its name. We've explored its sacred geometry, its symbolic legacy, and its link to the divine. From the Eye of Horus to the Bindu of yogic wisdom, from Descartes' seat of the soul to the pinecone monuments of ancient civilizations, one message echoes through time. You are more than flesh and thought. You are light, housed in form. And the pineal gland is the gate between. Now you hold the tools to begin the journey back, practices that need no belief, only attention. Cleansing your body, creating stillness, listening to tones that stir the subtle world, opening the inner eye with breath and devotion. The truth is, the forgotten powers of the pineal gland were never truly lost. They were simply waiting to be reclaimed. So tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and breathe. Feel that quiet center between your brows. Gaze inward, not with effort, but with curiosity. And ask, what will I see when I no longer look with my eyes, but with my soul. If this message resonated with you, share it. Reflect on it. Try the practices. Let this be the beginning of a deeper unfolding. The gate is not locked. It never was. You've always had the key.